Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Monday morning at the start of the second week of the international break and only 6 days away from Arsenal returning to action with that massive game against Leeds next Saturday at the Emirates. Plenty to talk about today. Quite dominated a lot by what's been going on internationally. I was at Wembley yesterday to see Bukayo Saka just demonstrate once again why he's one of the best players in the world. What a special talent he is. So fantastic that he plays for Arsenal. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about Mudryk. Going to talk about Antonio Conte. Got to mention Antonio Conte with that big news breaking late last night that he has now left Spurs. We'll talk about Emile Smith Rowe as well, who's been talking about his desire to force his way back into the Arsenal team. So plenty to get stuck into. Let's start with Bukayo Saka first of all, shall we? What a player. What an absolute unbelievable talent Arsenal have on their hands in Bukayo Saka. You almost feel like you shouldn't call him a talent anymore because he's that good, but then you have to remember that he is still only 21, which is just almost the most scary thing of the lot. I mean, he single-handedly won that game for England yesterday. It was a game that was drifting off. It's my first England game at Wembley in a while, and I've forgotten how weird the atmosphere can get there. And yeah, the first half was just a classic England Wembley game, which was kind of drifting a little bit in that first half. It looked like it was going to go to half-time 0-0. Ukraine were playing well in terms of they were setting themselves up well. They were proving hard to break down. England weren't really causing them too many problems. And in the space of 3 minutes, Bukayo Saka just turned the game in the head. One brilliant cross for Harry Kane to score, and then that fabulous goal that he scored himself a couple of minutes later, which he bent into the top corner to make it 2-0, and that was it. Game over. And it was just, he's such a good player. It's hard to really say anything more about Saka. I think you're genuinely seeing this world-class footballer develop in front of your eyes and turning into just this world superstar, which, you know, he's up there. I've seen a lot of debate since. I was just reading a thing, Chris Sutton, the Arsenal player, saying he's the best right winger in the world at the moment, and you can't argue against that. It's like there's a few on the left who you could put him up against, you know, Kylian Mbappe, for example. But when it comes to the right wing, well, obviously where Bukayo, there's just no one really stand out there that you can say right now this season has been better than Bukayo Saka. You know, he is at that level. He's so good. He's producing week in, week out. He's winning games for his club week in, week out, who are top of the Premier League, and he's doing it on the international stage as well. I think he's the second top scorer in that England squad now behind Harry Kane. You know, he's only 21 years old. He's just such a fabulous footballer. And to think where he's come from, how quickly he's done it. You know, I remember being in Frankfurt for the Europa League game when he scored his first goal for Arsenal in that 3-1 win, I think it was, 3-0 win. And all the journalists were there. We all went down in the stadium by the changing room waiting to speak to Saka, and Arsenal brought him out and they were saying to him, you know, look, this is his first interview, he's 17, just, you know, take it easy with him. But from the moment he came out there and he stood in front of us, you know, this big sort of group of press, for a 17-year-old it can be pretty nerve-wracking experience, and he just handled it so well, and you immediately thought, yeah, you got your head properly screwed on. There's just, you could see there was this, he was different to a lot of other kids that you've seen come through. And I mean, but having said that, even I'm surprised by exactly where he's gone and how quickly his trajectory of his career has gone upwards. And he's just an absolutely wonderful player. We spoke to Gareth Southgate after the game, and he said when he's in front of goal now, he plays with real belief. That's evident with his club, and it's evident with us in the games with us. You're expecting him to score now when he goes through. I think there's been a mentality shift as much as it's anything technical. I think he knows to be a really top wide player, he needs goals and assists, and without doubt he's delivered that this season. He absolutely has. And he was asked, you know, where does he rank in the world, do you think, for his position? And typical Southgate, he sort of steered away from the question. He said, look, his hunger, his humility is what's got him on a good path. He has all the attributes to continue to improve and learn, because that's how he's wired, and I don't see that changing with how he is and how his family are. I'm not going to get drawn into where he sits in world football, because that would start to put us in danger of doing all the things that we shouldn't be doing. But he's progressing brilliantly. He's a joy to work with. We should leave it at that. Which is fair enough. You don't want to, as your manager, certainly international team manager, you don't want to put a load of pressure on a young kid's shoulders and say he's the best in the world or anything like that. But there's no doubt that he's right up there. And yeah, hopefully that contract gets signed very, very soon. It's all agreed. It's just waiting for it, the sort of final touches to be done and to be signed. But No confirmation yet. We're still waiting that. Fingers crossed that's going to come very, very soon, because when it does, it's just such a huge news for Arsenal, such a massive boost to have him committed for the long term, because let's face it, every single club in world football would do everything they could to have Bukayo Saka playing for him, because he is absolutely that good and everyone loves him. You see all the reaction of the players yesterday, they absolutely love him, all of them, and that's just the kind of player he is, and this kind of person he is as well, and just brilliant that he plays for Arsenal. It really, really is. And the most important thing as well, he didn't get injured. He got a few kicks, especially in the first half, right in front of me, and I was just sitting there in the press box like, oh my God, watching it like that every time he went down. But thankfully, he got through it. No clear injury or anything like that, so he seems fine. He played the game, and now he can come back to Arsenal. He's got a good sort of 5 days now to just rest and relax and get ready for that big game against Leeds on Saturday. Okay, before I get on to other things, got to talk about Antonio Conte. I'm sure you saw the news last night coming out about 11 o'clock or 10:30 that Tottenham finally got rid of Conte. I mean, it was going to happen. It was inevitable. We knew it was going to happen. It was just a case of when, not if. After that, just legendary rant in his press conference after the Southampton draw that will go down in Premier League history. It's just so funny, you can't even put into words, when he just tore strips into everyone, hammered the owner, hammered the players, hammered the club. It's just brilliant to watch. And now he's gone. And, this born winner, this proven winner who was going to come in and was going to guarantee Tottenham trophies, has left 18 months later without winning any trophies. Who'd have thought it? Me, for one, because it was always an absolute recipe for disaster. That one, it was never going to work, and it was just another Tottenham or Daniel Levy sort of ego signing, really, in terms of the manager. Just like Mourinho was, Conte was the same, and it'll be interesting to see what Tottenham do now. They're obviously keeping Stellini and Ryan Mason in charge until the end of the season, then they'll see what they're going to get in the summer. I'm sure they'll be in for Nagelsmann. It's a manager they like, by all accounts. Will he go there? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But personally, I don't really care what happens with Tottenham. But you just got, if you're Daniel Levy or you're the board, or you've got to look at what you've done in the previous mistakes and the managers you've gone for and think this isn't working. We've got to try something new. And they'll be looking down the road. They always do. They always look at Arsenal to try and copy what Arsenal are doing. And I'm sure they will again. It wouldn't surprise me this time if we don't see another one of these big name ego appointments, and it is more of a sort of long-term project appointment. So we'll wait and see what that happens. What happens with them? But yeah, really quite funny to see what's going on down the road at the moment, and everything's quite serene at Arsenal, which is nice to see. Emile Smith Rowe has been talking. Some interesting comments from Smith Rowe on a couple of things that I wanted to go over. We spoke yesterday in the video about the goal he scored for England under 21s against France, which was a big thing for him. First goal for anyone this season in competitive action. And it's what he's had to say after the game. He said, "This is my last season with England under 21, so I need to make sure I'm playing. I need to be getting minutes, scoring and assisting as much as I can. Obviously, my aim is to get back into this Arsenal team. I'm desperate to be playing because the team are doing really well and it's something I want to be a part of. For me, I've got to now stay fit for when the manager needs me. I know the team is on fire and they're doing really well. I've never been in this position before, being left out so often, but I'm trying to work as hard as I can so that I'm ready to perform." It must be difficult for Smith Rowe. You think before he really started struggling with the injuries, he was such a key player, he was such an influential player. He was one of the first names on the team sheet for a while. Him and Bukayo Saka coming through and basically helping transform the team. And then Smith Rowe got the injury, struggled towards the end of last season with in and out of the side because of injury. Then this season's just been a disaster because of injury. And now he's come back and he's fit. And he says he's pain-free for the first time in like 4 years, which is fantastic. But he's obviously having to watch from the outside because the team's moved on while he's been injured. Martinelli's come in, absolutely nailed down that starting spot on the left-hand side. And Smith Rowe now has got to really work hard to get back into the side. It's not going to be easy by any means, but I do think he's got the ability to do it. I think more so for the Granit Xhaka position, more so than the Martinelli one. I think, Martinelli's got that left wing sorted. Smith Rowe can do a job there. Obviously, we've seen that, but I still think, personally, for me, when I look at Smith Rowe's attributes and what he's good at, I just think that number 8 role on the sort of left-hand side alongside Martin Odegaard is a fantastic position for him. The issue for him is obviously Granit Xhaka's there and he's played so well this season, so he's not going to come in and just wrestle that position away from him. You've got other players competing for that as well, possibly Fabio Vieira, although I still see Vieira as the right 8 rather than the left 8. So Vieira competing with Odegaard and Smith Rowe potentially competing with Granit Xhaka. But yeah, it's a difficult one for Smith Rowe, and it's one he's going to have to sort of knuckle down and deal with. I don't think he's going to play that much football between now and the end of the season. I really hope he still has a big moment between now and the end of the season, because I think he would deserve that. And I wouldn't rule it out the way this season's gone. You know, you look at Reece Nelson and things like that. These players are coming in, they're having moments. Jorginho, for example, with the Aston Villa goal. It's just the way the season's gone so far. So it wouldn't at all surprise me if Smith Rowe gets a special moment. He pops up and gets himself a goal that proves really, really useful for Arsenal between now and the end of the season. And he's just got to make sure he's alert that if that opportunity arises, he takes it. If Arteta needs him for 20 minutes, for 30 minutes, and he can come on and he can make the difference. He already did it against Bournemouth. You know, he came on, set up the goal for who was it? It was Partey's goal, wasn't it? He got the assist for Partey's goal. It was just, you know, it was just a header, but it was still a very important assist. That was the goal that started the comeback. And that's what he's going to have to do. He's got to be alert. So when does it get an opportunity, whenever it happens, he takes it and he can make an impact. And he said he was also talking about the difference with Arsenal this season and how, you know, watching from afar, have you been surprised exactly how amazingly the team has done? And he said, I felt it from pre-season. You could see the look on everyone's face as to how ready everyone was. With the likes of Alexander Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus coming in, it just felt like the whole dynamic changed. They've been there. They know what it's like to win. I'd definitely say a lot of it was down to them coming in, because their mentality has been indescribable. I can't believe Manchester City let them go. Zenko is one of the best technical players I've ever seen, so I want to be part of it. I'm getting minutes playing for England. It's really good, and the aim is to get my name back on the team sheet for Arsenal as quickly as I can. Really interesting comments there about Zinchenko. One of the best technical players he's ever seen, and I mean, he's ridiculous. Did you see that skills? If you haven't seen it yet, go and find it on YouTube. This little skills challenge that Zinchenko did, it was doing the rounds on the internet last week. The way he was bringing down these long balls, and he had to bring it down with his touch. It was just outrageous on all three at once. But the third touch he did for the third clip was just, I can't work out how he's done it. He's just ridiculously good. And yeah, as Smith Rowe says, I can't believe Manchester City let them go. I do wonder what at the offices at the Etihad, given what Arsenal are doing this season, when they're sitting around the table at the moment and they're looking at trying to, you know, get back and claw 8 points back on Arsenal, they must be sitting there thinking, why on earth did we sell him Gabriel Jesus and Alexander Zinchenko? Let's never do that again. We'll wait and see if Smith Rowe's right. Hopefully they are. Hopefully those two can now come on, be the key ingredients for Arsenal in this big title push. And just a couple more international games to go now over the next couple of days. Martin Odegaard playing tomorrow as well. Fingers crossed he survives and doesn't have to endure another Rodri-like tackle in Norway's game. I think they're playing away in Georgia. Kieran Tierney's playing for Scotland against Rodri's Spain as well tomorrow. And once all those fixtures are out of the way, then it's all back to Arsenal, and then it's all focus on Leeds on Saturday. Hopefully, fingers crossed, so everyone comes back injury-free. Mikel Arteta, whose birthday was yesterday, happy birthday Mikel Arteta, can get the team back together and really start planning for what is now the final push, the home straight, final 10 games. You can count them on your hands. That's how close we are to the end of the season. Exciting, nervous times. All right, that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Do have a very good start to your week, and I'll be back tomorrow as we really start to build up towards the weekend and the return of the Premier League. Speak to you soon.